Hi, my name is Chrissy Strong. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I have 17 years recovered from drugs and alcohol.
Chrissy, thank you so much for taking the time to come out and share your hope with us here at On the Road to Recovery. We're at Just a Dad from Akron in Kenmore, Ohio,
Woo-hoo.
and we really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me. Yay.
Let's start at the beginning. Can you share a little bit about your childhood, so your upbringing, your family relationships, any trauma that you experienced?
Yeah, I had a decent childhood. My mom was in Al-Anon. My dad was in AA. I had trouble dealing with my expectations and behaviors and getting what I wanted, my thinking processes. So I do remember a specific time when we were like sitting around watching Cosby, and my mom was choking on like water, because she does that. And my dad just kept flipping through the TV with the remote. And my expectation was, okay, you're going to put the remote down. You're going to help your wife. And he didn't. And she was like choking. I mean, semi-bad, but not really. And so, this is how I dealt with things. I went into my bedroom and I had like a glass candy jar. I don't know if it was from Halloween or Easter or whatever. And I like threw it up against the wall. And I had my own TV with cable. And I took the cable off the back of the TV and then I like wrapped it around my neck. And I'll show them, because they didn't do what I thought. So that's it's kind of a little loony. And so I always think to myself, like, that for me is alcoholism, because it stems in my mind. And without the substance, I'm still a little crazy. But yeah, I had a really good childhood, honestly. My parents got divorced when I was like 15 or 16, and that's when it kind of started to alter a little bit. I did try marijuana for the first time at a very young age at a friend's house, but it didn't really progress quickly because I had Al-Anon and AA in my home. But when they got divorced, my dad fell off the wagon. So then he started selling weed and crack and just all kinds of stuff. So I went from an AA dad to my dealer.
So can you talk a little bit about your first use and what it did for you?
I loved my first use. So we were at my friend's house, and her mom was always like cool to me. And there was always like a specific time she would like go upstairs, do whatever she would do, and come back down, and she was like a different person. And I was catching on. We were catching on. And I would say, like, man, you should ask your mom what she's doing. And like, maybe she'll hook us up. And she did. But we were so young that when she came down, she told us that it was a roach. And, you know, roaches being like kind of darker from the resin, I thought it was an insect. But I didn't care.
Can you share a funny or tragic story that highlights your use?
That highlights my use. Well, on my way here, I called my mom because I am going back to town. I'm going to go to Glen Bay tonight. So I wanted to tell her, and I was going to see her. And I told her I was doing this. And she goes, you know, I was up late last night, and I was thinking about that time that you know, we were all at the house. And I think I had about a week of sobriety, something like that. Doing nothing though. And I went into the bedroom to like put on my sweatpants or something, and when I put my hands in my pockets, there was like $5 or like $10, nothing major, but it instantly triggered me, and I just become this different person immediately. I had no defense against that first like trigger or thought. Nothing. And so then it builds into this thing with me to where I'm like sick to my stomach, because I gotta go now. I got this $5. So I went out into the living room and I'm like, I have to go. And they're like, what? Yeah, and I'm like, no, I was starting to sweat, and my brother's like, dude, what is wrong with you, man? Like, our kids are here. You're not leaving. And I'm like, I gotta go. And you know, they were so mad, and I remember my mom said, she goes, you walked out, and I didn't have a car or anything, and I walked down the street, and my mom has big bay windows, and my kid, who was 2, she said it specifically today. She goes, I remember his hand was on the window, and he just watched you the whole time. He wasn't crying, he wasn't happy, he was just like watching. And he watched you walk all the way down the street, and then you turned the corner and walked down the rest of like the main street, and he just watched. And even after you were out of view, he was just watching. And so, woo, that can get me choked up. Because, like, that's trauma that I did. I do remember, like, the time that I felt like I was dying. I think I was. I don't know. But I was in this house with this guy, and I wanted more. And we were running out, so I called my drug dealer, and he came out, and of course it didn't weigh. I went to go talk to my drug dealer out into the driveway, and the guy pulled me back in, and he like punched me, got me down on the ground, and he put his hand over my mouth, and then he was plugging my nose, and I could not breathe. His name was Rocky. They called him Rocky because he was super strong. And so I just kept fighting, but like I could see like my vision was going, and I like ended up losing control of like my bladder, and it was pretty scary. I ended up, I don't know how, you're in that fight and struggle for your life, and I don't know how, but I got this guy off of me somehow, and it was crazy. It was probably seconds, but it felt like days, and I just ran, and my drug dealer was driving down. I never felt so safe running after my drug dealer in my life. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I'm like screaming for my drug. Wait! He got me in the car. He had his like girlfriend with him, and she's like, "Oh, honey," she's like, "I have some pants for you at the house. We'll go to the house." I'm like, how did? Okay.
How did your disease progress?
I mean, I was dumpster diving and homeless and in raids and raped, left for dead a couple, times. I wasn't dying, but sort of was bleeding. I had to go to the ER. I mean, just progressed to that. When you make the detective cry, who comes into the hotel, and I didn't have any prior warrants or anything like that, but he had to go through my bags and let me go, but he started crying. I had a book bag with like some chore in it, and maybe a sock and a photo, and it was me and my brother, and he looked at that. It was a picture of me and my brother when we were younger. And so he looked at that and then looked at me and what I looked like then. I mean, I was really gray and sunken in and picking. And I weigh like 135 pounds right now. I weighed 89 then. So he started crying, and he told me I didn't have to live like that. So he probably probably knew a little bit of something to say, like, you don't have to live like this. I mean, that's a place. Death, despair, making the detective cry.
What happened that you decided to get help?
I just said, I called one of my support members from the past 7 years. She was not at home. I called her daughter. They were both at meetings. So the son, who was like 16, came to get me at this trailer in his little truck with his little girlfriend. They were on a date. But what a good boy. Being raised in that kind of an environment, I was like, listen, I'm dying. And he was like, where are you? 16. I remember when I was 16, I was not helping anybody at 16. He came right and got me, and then let me sit there, wait for his mom. She got home, she made me some soup, gave me the phone book, found some treatment. I said, okay.
Cool. What kind of support helped you in your early recovery?
So my sponsor was vital for my survival. She's older, but man, she's active, and she's constantly doing stuff. And I didn't realize that was something that had been missing. I'm really outgoing, and I really like excitement and having fun and learning and doing different things. And I don't know how to say this in a not negative way, so maybe we can edit this. But I love. Can I say meetings?
Yeah.
I love being in meetings because that's where we learn and that's where we get our sober stuff and we get filled. But I also want to go on a weekend, and I also want to go stay in a cabin, and I also want to learn how to like plant tomatoes, and I also want to go to like Cedar Point, and I also want to go hear live music, and I just want to do these things. I want to go on like a convention for the whole week and do this. And so that was major for me. I was bored in the beginning, and she said, there's a new club opening up. Bye-bye. Go figure out something to do there. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so I did. And I went and painted the walls, and I helped them with the bar portion of it, because they did have like a little bar that you could sit at and order food, and shined up the pool tables and help them get the jukebox in and do all that. Then I started a meeting because sometimes reading, can I say the big book? So sometimes reading, I'm not the greatest at. My comprehension is, so reading like the big book was hard. It's like 1930s, bro. I don't know how to do that. So my girlfriend had like an hour lunch, and she was right around the corner from me, so she would always come over. And I'm like, hey, while you're here on your lunch, like, will you help me read this? My recovery in the beginning was like meetings, and like doing all the work, and it's kind of calmed down a little bit where I'm not making 14 meetings a week. Make them like 2, 1. My real enjoyment and where it's super vital for me is the support group that I have. Oh my God. I say it like almost every day. It's sickening. And I really only have like 2 or 3. But man, that's huge. And they're like 2 or 3. And even like some of my friends who are not in recovery, they're just kind of normal people. They're like, damn, you guys are thick. Like, that's amazing. And I'm like, I know. I mean, to anything. So anything I'm going through, I could call them right now and be like, oh my God, I'm on, FaceTime, and be like, I'm on it, oh my God, whatever. Or I could be like, my kid, I don't know if I can say this, but just signed up to be in the military, and I was down for like 2 days, and these girls just came. They're just right there. We lost a friend this year to mental health. She committed suicide, and like, again, my normal friends were like, wow, we just band together. I had a show the night of her calling hours, and it was like really hard, and just I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. I can't cancel the show. And all my girls came out and were just like in the audience like, woo, because I even said, I was like, I might cry tonight. Oh, we love you. And like then it gets the whole audience in. They're like, what? And so it's just, my support group, man, is amazing. And I'm always doing stuff. We're always going on vacation. I don't want this to be negative, but this is just my story. And it's just like, we're to a point where it's like, we want to be doing other stuff. We want to be enjoying life like the normal person, cautiously. But I want to be able to go into this area and hear live music, and I don't want to be afraid. I've gotten my life back, and we do that. We're heading on tour together. I'm doing a couple shows this next weekend, and they're coming with me, my girlfriends, and they're going to be at my shows with me, of course, and then we're like 2 hours from New York, so we're going to go visit Manhattan. I mean, that's like, we live for stuff like that. That's why we got sober.
How has recovery helped to heal the relationships damaged in your active use?
I mean, I think, you do your amends and you go through that whole process, but I also just think it's very simple. Staying sober, staying in recovery, and just being the authentic person that you need to be. Just, and over time. Because here's my thing with my life, is that I would chronically relapse. So I would also chronically say, this is it. I'm staying sober this time. And then they get all excited and it would crash. So I just think with like, just being sober makes me a decent person, you know, working on myself every day, all throughout the day. And then with time, those relationships just get repaired. They see who you are and they see like, wow, this is amazing. And this trust grows back.
Is there anything else that we've missed that you would like to share with the world?
Yes. Stick and stay. Follow your dreams. Because I always wanted to be in the entertainment business, acting, playing music, things like that. And just by one day at a time and years, being patient, I'm able to do that now. And I hope that inspires others.
Awesome. Chrissy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and join us here and share some inspiration and hope for those who need to hear it most. Your story will help to spread awareness, humanize addiction, end stigma, and inspire hope one story at a time.
Real people, real stories, real recovery.